my name is Martin Smith. I live in a place called Carlow, which is just south of Dublin in Ireland. I work in a college, the Southeast Technological University here. It's a college of about, 10,500 students, technological university. I'm the chaplain here, so I'm part of a student services team. We're engaged in supporting students, I suppose, in the non-academic side of things. Um, I suppose I want to talk a little bit about my journey. I kind of like to see it as a as a journey. And if you like, last year during the spring 2022, two journeys came together. Um, about 15 years ago, I had symptoms of bowel problems, and I had a examinations, and they took out polyp, which was precancerous. So that began a journey. Everything was fine. It was precancerous, but I was having checkups regularly. But it's, if you like, it was always in the background. Okay, this is a journey I'm on, I would say. And then about 5 years ago, I started getting what was diagnosed as eczema, just very itchy, very, very uncomfortable, dry skin, but really, really itchy, causing problems sleeping at night. In myself, I knew, I suppose sometimes you have a sense of things. I knew that it was something more than just the skin. I knew it was something in me. So I thought it's something like an allergy, problems with allergies. So I went down that route first. After about 2 years, I went down that route, checking, went to a specialist to see what I was allergic to. And sure, of course, I was allergic to everything. Everything that was good, I was allergic to. So we tried different stuff. And after a year working on that, nothing worked. So I went to a dermatologist and was diagnosed with eczema. So went on to some treatment for that, treatment called methotrexate, and kind of continued on that for a while, but it kind of came to a head last spring when I think I took a reaction to the methotrexate, and it wasn't working anyway. So I went to my dermatologist and I said, look, this is not working, and I'm finding it really, really difficult to take this stuff. So she said, okay, I want you to meet my team. So I went up, I was attending Tala University Hospital in Dublin. So I went up, met the team, and thankfully, if you like, a member of the team, a doctor who's kind of taken me on, I suppose, since he had just been, training in the whole area of cutaneous lymphoma, and had just come back from the UK, where he'd been treating patients with cutaneous lymphoma. And almost, I think, in my head, almost immediately he could see, oh yeah, okay, what's going on there? What's going on there? And we did some tests, and we discovered it was cutaneous lymphoma, and it was stage 4. It was stage 4. It's called Sezary syndrome. Okay, so this is all happening last spring. Okay, as well as that, my bowel started acting up, and I discovered that I had a tumor. I had a growth in my bowel. So the beginning of last summer was a little bit crazy. It was stage 4 cutaneous lymphoma and bowel cancer. So I started the urgent one was the bowel cancer. So I started a whole summer of radiation, and 5 days a week, and 2 sessions of chemo. So it was a kind of a very difficult summer. I live about an hour from Dublin, so up and down every day and that kind of stuff. And then in the middle of all that, so we're working on the bowel, but then in the middle of all that, the doctor in working with my cutaneous lymphoma asked if I would come to a different hospital every day for 2 weeks to start a particular kind of treatment. And of course, I'm thinking, oh God, I really don't have the energy for this, you know. The treatment he wanted to start was an antimicrobial bath and cortisone ointment and moisturizing, okay, to work on my skin. Um, so my initial reaction was, oh, I couldn't, I'm not. It's tough enough going to the one hospital to have the radiation and the chemo, and then to go to another hospital. So, but anyway, I said, okay, I'll do it for the first 2 days, and then I can do it at home, you know. So I went to the second hospital to have the antimicrobial bath, and it was a game changer. It was a game changer because not because obviously at that stage at the beginning it didn't make any difference to my skin, but when I was trying to think about it later, it changed my attitude to myself or whatever. I think it was something around the whole thing of, you know, my body was being attacked by radiation. I wasn't having problems, but it's being attacked, and my body's being attacked by chemotherapy, you know? So my body's being attacked. And yet here in a bath of your own body temperature, it's like you're receiving this massive hug for 10 minutes. So your body, which is being attacked interiorly, gets this massive hug. That's the way I mean, that might sound really, really weird, but that's the way I felt. That's the way I perceived it. And it changed the way I dealt with the whole thing. You know, the whole confusion of where this is going to go. Do you know how is this going to end up? Um, so basically, for 2 weeks, then I continued going to the hospital for the bath, and the nurses were absolutely amazing. It was kind of like almost a spa treatment. I've never had a spa treatment. I've no interest in that kind of thing. But this was kind of the nearest thing to a spa treatment because they would run the bath for me. I'd have the bath for 10 minutes. They'd call me out of it. They would put on the cortisone cream ointment and leave me for half an hour for that to dry in, and then they would put on the moisturizer. So there was a couple of things I would say about that. And you know, one of the things that kind of I'd like to talk about is things that made a difference to my treatment. The bath was a huge thing, but also to be able to accept um, care, physical care like that. It's a very unusual thing, but to be able to accept it, to be able to accept healing like that. As I say, the nurses were they were amazing because I wasn't just, a patient with cutaneous lymphoma. You know, we got to know each other, and it's quite an intimate thing when they're putting stuff on you, you know. So that was some of the things that made a difference for me. One of the things I would say too that I learned as a guy, as a man, we don't do what do you call it? We don't do moisturizing. I've never done moisturizing. It's not something I'm into. So when I was, when my original dermatologist was telling me, "Oh, you need to moisturize. You need to use moisturizer," I'm just like, okay, putting something on, you know. But when the nurses did it, lathering on this stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, this is not comfortable. But I began to realize, okay, this is what moisturizing is, because in fact it has made the whole regime, which I've kept up until quite recently, actually. That's a year ago. The whole regime has changed my skin, has changed my feeling about myself, has changed the way I can deal with the world, deal with my work. Do you know? So it's very important, that kind of thing. Obviously, at the moment now, I have started I started a couple of months ago a chemo called bexarotene, which is an oral chemo. I take that twice a day, and then 2 weeks ago I began infusions of mogamulizumab. Very difficult word. Okay, we've been waiting on to use this for a while because it's only recently been licensed in this country. So 2 weeks ago I started that infusions of that. Um, that is helping me too. Another interesting thing that helped was the chemo that I got for the bowel. The bowel, by the way, I got the all clear there a couple of months ago. It's completely clear without any surgery. So that was brilliant news, fantastic news. But the chemo that I got for the bowel, and that was the last one I got was last August. So that's a year ago. That has reduced, in some way, as a side effect, has reduced the lymphocytes in my blood, the bad stuff. So my lymph nodes are down, and my bloods are good. Uh, so, so lots of things, I suppose, have come together. Obviously, for me, too, a big deal is my faith, and my faith in not so much, my faith in not magic, but my faith that everything is going to be okay. I mean, I'm a believer, so I believe in God, so that everything is going to be okay. No matter how it works out, that I'll have the strength to deal with it, and kind of that sense of one day at a time. I don't know how I'm going to be next week. I don't know what the prognosis is going to be. Do you know? It wasn't good last year, so I don't know. But one day at a time, I feel great now. I feel really good. So, and that's kind of what I hold on to. Down the road, they're talking about maybe, obviously, the only way to cure this cutaneous lymphoma is by a bone marrow transplant. Um, now I was kind of thinking, okay, well, let's do it. Do you know? Let's do the thing. Why would we be waiting? But obviously, it was kind of pointed out to me that, uh, my system has built up over. I'm 61. You know, my system has built over 61 years, and it's protecting me every day from lots of stuff. Okay, sometimes things get through, but generally it's protecting me from lots of things. But to do the bone marrow transplant, you're talking about destroying all your immunity. So all that immunity that I've built up over 61 years would be destroyed to start over again. That's a huge ask. That's a huge commitment. So that's why it's not a decision that's taken lightly. It may be down the road. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah, that's where that's where I would be at the moment. As I say, I'm in great shape. I have great confidence in the people who are looking after me, because they're trying different stuff. Sometimes I suppose we lay people, you have a sense of, medical people. Okay, if you have this disease, this is what you do. If you have this disease, this is what you do. My journey is not like that, and the journey of cutaneous lymphoma is not like that. There's different issues. I was having the PUVA there for a while, and it was useless. It wasn't doing any good for me, whereas it's good for other people. The methotrexate wasn't working for me. It works for other people. So, and that's one of the things I suppose I've learned is these things are quite complex, and my journey is unique to me. But I have full confidence in the people who are looking after me, and that's brilliant. So that's my journey with cutaneous lymphoma. I don't know where it's going to end. Well, I suppose everybody knows where we're going to end in the end, but I don't know where this journey is going to end. And yeah, onwards and upwards. That's me.